Senator Makueni County Senator, karibu sana.
Good
yes,
morning.
we shall be having that conversation with you. But welcome to the Situation Room. That is the hot seat. But let's welcome you to the Situation Room the best way we know how. City today is in a very famous country in this continent. City.
Yes, we are in an extremely famous country. Mm-hmm. I see the Senate has been. Yes, it is a very, very, very famous country. It has a one of the interesting things is that it has the second highest mountain peak on the continent. Mm. Just a hint. I can give you another hint if you want. It is the seventh, not first. It is the seventh most populous country. Well, why don't we leave it there? Second highest peak, mountain peak on the continent. Mm-hmm. Which country is this?
Kenya.
I don't know what it is about these Kenyans. They seem to understand their country because everyone I've asked that question here tells you Kenya. Seventh most populous country on the continent. I'm sure that's why I stopped. You would have said Kenya.
Yeah.
It is good that Kenyans actually know about their country.
Yes.
Now let's see what we know about our proverbs. Okay. Our proverbs for this week will be in the Kiswahili language.
National language.
Yes, exactly. Mla chake mwenziwe na chake uliwa.
Mla chake
Yes.
mwenziwe na chake.
Mla chake mwenziwe na chake uliwa.
Senator mwenziwe hapa si mwanzia, you know that is famous from here.
Mla chake.
Yes, mla chake mwenziwe na chake
uliwa. Ukila chako.
Yes.
Na mwingine anakula chako.
Well, you have the right direction. Ukila cha mwenzako. Hakikisha kwamba hata chako
akija kuliwa
italiwa na mwenzako. Ndio hivyo. So kula ukijua. That's what we are saying.
Kula ukijua.
How would we interpret that and how would we give it meaning? Senator, how would you give it meaning? How would you put that proverb in a manner that makes it alive and well in our everyday life?
It means what you do to others can also be done to you.
You put it so beautifully, so simply, and to the point. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and I can see some of our listeners here wanasema mgonga pia hugongewa. Senator, welcome to the Situation Room. Yes. Now, we talk about ensuring a responsible Parliament 2027. As we speak right now, the journey towards 2027, the politics has started. It's center stage. Everyone's talking about 2027, and also alliances are being created as we approach 2027. But before we get to 2027, how would you describe our politics as we speak right now?
Oh, it's messy. And the most unfortunate is that we've had, a lot of trouble in terms of the economy, and the leadership seems to have forgotten those they lead. The country, it's on its own. It's like it is on autopilot, and no one knows how it's going to land. The pilot doesn't seem to be really in charge. He seems to have lost it completely. The most unfortunate thing is the confusion, beginning with the schools are opening today. You have CBC. You change the education system. You build an extra classroom in primary school. Yet, the setup in many primary schools in Kenya, the secondary is just next. So you have an empty classroom in Form 1.
Next door.
Mm-hmm.
And then you are struggling to build a classroom. Now they've built the shell, no desks.
And yet next door, there's a classroom with desks.
With desks.
And no students.
And belongs to the same village. Now, the other most unfortunate thing about that is that, CBC assumes that every home has electricity, every home has water, every home has internet, and every school has electricity, and every school as internet. Therefore, a child in Nairobi, how do you quit that child, a child in the village where there's no internet, there's no phone? Even the teacher can't afford, the sort of phone you're thinking about. The teacher has a kabambe. So how are you going to access the internet? How are you going to equip these kids? And there doesn't seem to be a plan, to link the two. And therefore, then, it ends up being unconstitutional in that it is segregative. So you are helping the rich become richer and the poor become poorer.
Now,
These
Senator,
kids are going to do one examination in year 9.
Senator, you say that the leaders have failed the country and that the man at the top as well does not seem to be having any plan with regard to whatever is happening. But we also record the fact that you are a leader. You sit in that Senate. What makes you any different?
I feel like I'm in a centrifuge, just going round and round. Because you see, government is one. The role of a senator is to ensure that devolution is implemented. Devolution can only be implemented through money. In fact, I want to admit, there's no house. The brains of all members have been deleted and they're replaced with one brain.
Including yours?
You see, I've tried very much, mine not to be deleted, but you see, if you get abducted or captured, there's a likelihood that they will delete your mind too. They have tried to instill fear. And I think Kenyans must come out strong, in terms of when you elect members, you want accountability. I am aware that the president has gone to some parts of this country where he's supposed to be very popular. And he's a local MP, the local senator, are told, don't speak here. Don't say anything. They are shouted down in front of the president. And the president is told, right, you are the only one we have allowed to say something. So if you cannot go to your own village as an elected leader, then there is trouble. And the reason is, instead of the elected leader doing their job, they have become part of the executive. They only do what the executive say. And you need a house which can stand against the executive.
Senator, what you're saying is not just daunting, it's damning. How? We are saying that these individuals whom we elected to represent us have actually, I'm trying to put this really politely, have actually stopped doing what it is that they were elected to do. I'm saying it as politely as I can.
Yes.
And that instead, the allegiance which is supposed to be to us and for us who elected them, they have decided to auction it to somebody else.
Yes.
Whom we also elected.
Yes.
And that's the situation.
Yes.
So in essence, we actually don't have a parliament, do we?
We don't have. Because everything will be done as dictated in State House.
So what do we have if we don't have
and
a
you
parliament?
see, what's the ideal situation and the expectation of the Constitution and the people of Kenya is that the whole House checks the executive.
Yes.
The whole House should check the executive.
It is their role.
Whether majority or minority, the whole House should be united in one thing, checking the executive. But now you have the whole House implementing whatever the executive says. So if it's a bill, the president better even sign it without bringing it for debate.
Because the outcome is
it's
clear.
the same. The way it left State House is the way to go back.
Which brings the next question, Senator. Now, here's a question where all these arms of government are independent. They're supposed to work as prescribed by the Constitution, judiciary, the Parliament, both Senate and National Assembly, and the executive as well. But here's a situation where we say Parliament has been captured. There is that term, has been captured, which begs the question, as we sit right now, everyone is talking about 2027. Who are we forming these formations? We are coming up with these with this vehicle that will get us into power. But Kenyans want services right now.
Kenyans want services right now. Unfortunately, Kenyans have given up. And they are no longer expecting any services from the government. Every promise has been hollow. Every promise is a lie. Most projects stalled. And I want to give a good example. Thwake Dam, which was doing very well and is at 96%, stalled as soon as President Ruto and his government came into power. And it is not the only one. There are so many projects.
As we speak, Thwake Dam has not been completed.
No. It is stalled, and you see the effect of that is that it becomes more expensive. You are keeping a contractor there. He's got machinery, he's got people, he's charging daily, but there's no work going on because you have not made payments to, you have not even facilitated, even with the fuel, to make the machinery work.
Okay.
So you have not, done the payments as in the agreement and the way you are supposed to do. So the contractor, who is a foreigner, he's told you wait till when we borrow more money. And then the borrowing is such a process and a procedure. And then it's going to come back to the house for approvals, and then the monies are channeled back there. And before you know, a year is gone, another year is gone. In fact, what they did was because this is under African Development Bank, that allocation is borrowed specific. But because African Development Bank has other projects in the country, you remove the money from Thwake Dam and you take it to other projects, which you also don't complete. So all of them have told.
And all these projects had money that had been allocated for them in the budget.
In the budget, yes.
And the money which was allocated, has that money been spent?
It wasn't spent, instead it was moved, because it can also be moved into other projects, hoping to complete other projects faster. But everything has stalled. And I really want to say that despite the economic difficulties, the country has a lot of money, there's a lot of theft, there's a lot of mismanagement. If we manage our resources prudently, borrowed monies and the monies we collect, we can be able to complete projects. You see, if you complete a project like Thwake Dam, you're able to do irrigation at least in 4 counties. We've got the Grand Force, which is even a bigger dam somewhere around Tharaka County, which can also take water to parts of northern Kenya. If you irrigate and you farm, as we saw in our West African government, whereby the president is moving with 1 car, Hamad, and then he's used all the money to buy tractors and to do farming. Then people will have food. We have to buy food from outside the country. We are buying rice from outside the country. We can produce enough. We're even buying eggs from Uganda and from South Africa. So we can still produce enough of them here.
Senator, you know what I said earlier on about things being daunting?
Yes.
Now, if I can multiply it by a factor of, say, 100, I'll be closer to the truth. The thinking that you are now bringing to this discussion, are there people within the Senate who share this same thinking with you?
There are quite a number, but most of them are silent. They're just hoping, if you bring trouble, what's likely to happen to you.
Actually, what would happen?
What would happen?
We haven't heard of a senator being abducted.
Yeah.
We've heard of a senator being arrested, but not abducted.
The fear of most elected people, which is now being demystified, is that if you don't support the government, the political party you are elected in is not going to support you in the next election. You are likely to be substituted. But the people are already so annoyed. I'll tell you what will happen. You see, we've got about 14 million young people who have now woken up. And that's why you saw the demonstrations, the Gen Zs disagree with a lot of things. And these young people really know a lot. They have now woken up to learn that we need to take charge of our own affairs, because the people we have elected are not. And what I could encourage such young people to do is to register as voters. Let them register as voters and let them take their IDs now. IBC is not closed down. IBC is operational even if it has no commissioners. If you present your ID today and you want to register as a voter, they will register you. Of course, there is usually the mass voter registration, whereby Kenyans show up the last day or 2 last days, and there are long queues, and then they say we can no longer extend, and they shut it down and people go home. You see, the power belongs to the people, but the people must vote so that now you vote in the right leadership. I am expecting a lot of young people to be elected into office, even independent, without political parties, in the next election, because Kenyans have been frustrated enough.
Senator, you're a seasoned politician.
Yes.
And your name has always been associated, at least in my mind, with some interesting changes we've had in the country. Yes, and by interesting, I mean positive. Now, if you are telling us that people must then now wake up and elect right leaders, what on earth do you mean? I mean, for heaven's sake, I thought that's what we do all along. We elect people who we think are good, equal to the task, and then they get into these hallowed places you go to. What on earth happens to you when you get there?
When you get there.
Because you're really good. The people who are elected are okay. The citizenry elect well.
They do so.
Yes. What? This metamorphosis, what happens to you people when you get there?
As soon as people get there, get captured.
They allow
There is a
themselves to be,
lure, or
they allow themselves to be captured.
They allow themselves to be captured.
Yes.
There is the lure of money. Instead of the country's funds be used to do development, because if you have extra cash in State House, it should be plowed back. I remember during the time of Quebec.
Just pause. I have to call you bro here. Extra money in State House. The money is supposed to be in the treasury. Unless I misunderstand this thing completely.
You see, when
or is the State House synonymous with the treasury?
Both of them are related. Very. In fact, it's one thing.
Siamese twins.
Yes. You see what happens when we make a budget. We allocate the presidency a lot of money. I remember President Kibaki used to save a lot of this money. You've given him an allocation, he's not going to have people streaming in State House money to even picking cash.
No, that didn't happen.
In fact, sometimes State House will not use more than 10,000 shillings a day during President Kibaki's time, because it's only tea and nduma and mandazi and that's it for any visitor. No more. You know what you find in the village. And then that money, of course, should be taken back for rebudgeting, so that you can do development in the country. You know, the to run the state is very expensive. You know the president moving around in the country with 20 vehicles, 100 people, all of them are fueled, and most of them are going to do nothing.
Why are you making it sound as though that movement must be exactly as you describe it? I mean, what would happen if the president
went alone?
Yes.
If you,
after all, he is the president.
And you are elected by the people anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
How many, what security
He and
do you
the
need?
security apparatus went.
Yes. Him and the security are enough.
Yes. So why do we talk about this entourage that we keep seeing, where you can even count up to 40 cars, and you're asking,
for what?
What is all this for?
In fact, the president should sit in the office and work.
Yes.
If the people see development, you don't have to go there and do. And you saw when he's visiting a place, there is some MP there who has been given cash, and he's giving 1,000 as somebody enters the stadium. You know, that money is what should be doing the road.
Now, Senator, let's just remain there on that money. And earlier you said that Kenya, as much as we are experiencing tough economic times, we have a lot of money that you're collecting. The only problem is we have pilferage of the same and stealing of the same. And that has seen projects not proceeding, not being implemented as expected. But Senator, you are the senator. Checks and balances squarely lies with you. Now, you are close to power as well. Close to power in the sense that you have access to information that Mwananchi does not have.
Yes.
With this information that you have, what are you doing with it?
First and foremost, the work of Senate is to make sure that devolution works, the counties work. In fact, if the counties worked and worked well, we'll have a lot of development going on because they are in devolved units. But you see, health has not yet been fully devolved. Health is still hanging in the national government. Agriculture is not devolved fully. 90% is still with the national government. And whatever they are doing with that, you won't know. Then one of other devolved issues is water and things like that. Now, when it comes to the revenue which is supposed to go to the counties, first of all, it's delayed. You see, so a governor is sitting there idle with his team, receiving salaries, but have no money to do any work. 3-4 months. That's a lot of wastage in itself. Then you must add monies to the counties so that the counties are able to work. And also Senate make sure that they are checked properly so that every governor is accountable and whatever monies have gone to the governor get accounted. Now, when you come to dealing with the national government, there are things which are shared, between national government and some acts of parliament require things like security. Some of the major decisions also come to the Senate, like when you are appointing a PS or a CS, you know, in charge of that particular docket. That checking up debate must also go on in the Senate. So the main idea is there's a lot of activity at the National Assembly which should be happening, which is not happening, because the House is in bed with the executive. In fact, the only place we have seen a little bit of independence, and each individual judge, you can't really take the independence away. A judge can decide to be firm, to do his job, and refuse to be approached. Of course, we saw when we were doing the Gachagua case that the system to file documents, was hacked, and you could not do anything for as long as a new deputy president had been sworn in. Then now you can do your filing when you have already been overtaken by events. Of course, that's fraudulent, and it's a serious interference with the judiciary by the executive. A lot of times now, judiciary is the last line of defense. You saw that last week when Senator Mutata was arrested, and the police went to seek 14 days to hold him, so that they can look at his phone and see 14 days, so that they can look at his phone. And we're very serious, the DPP was very serious in making this request. Of course, the magistrate turned it down, released him on a 1,000 shilling bond to appear in court and to appear to the investigators wherever is needed. It was just fell short of return his phone, because if you want anything in his phone, you can get it. So it is that sort of thing you find in judiciary. I think that'd be much better, because that saves judicial time, it saves people's time, it saves inconveniences. You have seen the issues of abductions. You are abducted. The Constitution, Article 49 and 50, are clear on any person who is arrested. So this an abduction first is an arrest. And
wait. How is an abduction an arrest?
First of all, you are taken away by lawful authority.
You understand the law.
Yes.
Explain to us, what is an arrest?
It is
What constitutes an arrest?
It is now when the police are seeking you to explain, or you are suspected to have committed an offense, then the police hold you to question you or to prepare you to go to court.
And before they hold you, must they not do certain things?
They must, and you must be released within 24 hours if you are under confinement, or you should be released on bond. You should not just be forced in. But now when it comes to the arrest of abduction, you are taken away from a market, or you are taken away from a petrol station, or you are taken away from a home, then you disappear. Then the government say, we don't know who did it. The police say, and they're the one in charge of security, we don't know and we can't know. And then the government admits in the middle of this and say, there are some people misbehaving, so let them behave well, and then you will not see abductions. Then when the police IG is in trouble, serious trouble of going to jail for contempt of court, then they release these people conveniently. Some alive, some dead. And then somebody is not held accountable. You see that double talk of the government. We are with them, we are not with them. Next time, behave well. If you are supposed to misbehave, I want to say some of the things going on social media are nasty, are not respectful. Some of the young people are overdoing it, but that doesn't mean you get killed for that. There cannot be an extrajudicial process on you. It must be something within the law. If you are abducted or arrested, you should be presented before a court in 24 hours. So you wonder then, what system is this you are using to arrest somebody, confine them? We've seen some of the released people, the stories they have given, like Bob Jaggi has a whole story on what happened to him for 32 days, sleeping on the floor, naked, and some place he described is painted black, and it's not far, it's within the city. So these activities, these illegal activities are happening here, and we are saying the president should be accountable for that.
Okay.
Has a lot of time wasted and a lot of money wasted. Cars trade. You see a car which abducts somebody in Nairobi, then you are dropped in Eldoret. Why you will see the fuel for the state?
All right. Let's take this short commercial break. When we come back now, that is, we've just unpacked where we are in terms of politics at the moment. After the break, let's talk about the journey towards 2027 and how conversations will form that campaign.
People come to me and they say they get discomfort when they have ice cream. Can you imagine that? Avoiding having cold ice cream. Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Join us each week for music and the spoken word, featuring the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, the longest-running continuous weekly network broadcasting the world, celebrating over 93 years on air. Each episode features modern and traditional arrangements of spiritual, patriotic, classical and contemporary music, and a timely, inspiring message. Truly an uplifting, rejuvenating experience that will have you returning to each week. Music and the spoken word with the Tabernacle Choir.
Well, indeed, welcome.
As young people say, ni ile siku, because they're talking about snails.
Farm Kenya is your ultimate guide to everything agriculture. Every Monday, get your fill of Agri-New, panel discussions on policy and regulation, and how to feature on Farm Guide. Tuesdays are all about nutrition and health, plus our popular Farm to Plate segment, bringing you delicious recipes straight from the farm, as we give voice to farmers on Sauti ya Mkulima. Farm Kenya, working to secure your growth.
Kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
Now, women are earning 100,000. I think men should not respond and say, oh, they're now earning. Boy child has been forgotten. No, the idea is, oh, so affirmative action is working.
Yeah.
What can we do more?
Business is hard. I tell always the people, business is hard. And especially now, you can see with the economy, many businesses are struggling to survive. Can you imagine how much more complicated it is when you throw this thing called family into it?
Yeah.
Very successful men who have made a lot of money but have left very dysfunctional homes.
Yeah.
Houses, it has come at a cost that one wonders whether it was worth it in the end.
Children or boys take a bit of a harder hit when maybe the father is maybe overly successful, because then you're constantly compared and you're constantly trying to match up, because that's the example that has been shown.
When I have back pain, I reach for 2 tablets of Panadol Extra. And I am finally released from pain and ready to be there for those who need me. Try Panadol Extra for fast and effective relief.
To start these businesses now, KCB to Jajiri combines vocational training, skills training, business access to finance and business mentorship. Now, this CT is designed to prepare them for entrepreneurship, thus spurring growth and development. Now, the youth are trained in key sectors. You want to know which one, CT? You want to get that good haircut? Senator, they are trained to do that. Yeah, and they are also into construction. Yeah, talk about domestic, automotive, creative economy, and city. I promised you makeup.
Makeup.
I have it in my bag. I'll give it to you after this.
And what's that supposed to do for me?
Makeup.
They should
Make you up.
Make me up.
Make you up.
Okay.
Yeah, and KTB says that you can get this information on ktb.com/Tujajiri, ensuring that the youth have get access to skills and employment. Now, Senator,
Yes.
Karibu sana. We were talking before the break on where we are in terms of politics, right? Now, here we are towards 2027, and conversation has already started, whether we like it or not. Formations are being created towards 2027. What are some of the conversations that will form campaign towards 2027?
Well,
Rather, what are you pushing?
What's likely to be is that there are going to be new political formations, new political parties, and new coalitions, so that people can coalesce and work together, so that there is a competition and the Kenyans make choice of a better government, so that they can be served better. Have you been disappointed by the current situation, the misuse of public funds, a parliament which has abandoned the people, and a struggling judiciary in terms of funding and facilitation and independence, so that you could have a better Kenya. And that's the reason why people conduct elections after every 5 years, so that if you are not satisfied with what the elected leader has done, or dictator, then you can choose somebody better. You can choose a leadership other than dictatorship. We are seeing arrogance, bad talk, unnecessary, talk to Kenyans, and unnecessary pride. You see, and the people elected leaders under the new constitution are supposed to be servants of the people. They're supposed to serve the people. They're supposed to implement the government's agenda, which they went to campaign on, and also the government which is formed is supposed to be sufficiently checked. The moment even the opposition joined government, then we are go back to one-party system. If all of us sing one song, there must be one person saying, please correct this. This is the better way to do it. These funds have not been applied properly. We have also weakening of institutions. You see, there is no IBC yet, because there are things the IBC must be doing right now to prepare the next elections. You do not have the Anti-Corruption Commission. Is really not doing his job as supposed to be doing, because we have a lot of people who are known to have looted from the country, and then they are taken through a process which excuses them. You see, the body doesn't have total power. The total power to prosecute is with the ODPP. The ODPP's office has been so politicized that if the government does not want somebody to be prosecuted, a governor who had stolen so much money, then all of a sudden it's an all prosecute. You can no longer prosecute. So it makes also the work of the ODPP very, very difficult. And that's why you need a government, a leader who is keen to make sure there is equity, there is justice, and that these independent institutions work independently. So that if you have stolen, even if you are supporting me politically, I am sorry. You got to face the law, you got to quit and go to jail or return what you have stolen. That's what we should be seeing.
Senator, ordinarily, and the times you've been to the studio,
yes,
when you speak, I feel a little invigorated and I look at positivity. Today I'm actually getting depressed.
Why are you depressed?
Yeah, because one, you are painting a picture that portrays those who we, as the sovereign and the citizens of this country, have elected as being completely helpless. Meaning,
that's where we are.
The check and balance. See, it's getting even more depressing because he's admitting it. We expect certain things to change, and because as per your words, the House, the Parliament as we know it, the lower and the upper house have been held captive. It's like nothing much will actually change. So I'm thinking in my mind then, if there are people like you who speak and give the impression that this is something that you do not support, why don't you resign?
Well, resignation is one of the options, but you cannot resign to fate. You must fight, soldier on, and increase the number of people who want to be independent. I can assure you, with an independent Senate, you will change a lot more.
But the Senate is independent.
It isn't right now.
They're the ones who ceded their independence. It is not as though the Senate was created and was held. No. You have ceded. But the thing that I find even most disturbing is that there's this picture being painted that the moment we elect people and they sit there, the metamorphosis that takes place is that we now have a people whose main focus is not survival really, because you have a 5-year term.
Yeah.
Okay? Is how much money...
You can be removed.
Yes,
actually, if IBC was in position right now, so many members would have been removed.
That removal process is not as simple as it sounds.
But it was very easy.
Even though it is late, you can even be told, this is what you'll do, this is what you'll do. We've seen with the governor.
But it was very easy to remove her deputy president.
And that was because the people who, as you say, have helped these houses captive,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
wanted the person removed. But again, since you brought it up, I found it strange. I found it strange in this sense. We have a presidency. The president and the deputy are tied at the hip.
Yes, they are.
So if we see as a country and experience the process of removing a deputy, what we've actually done of a deputy president, we've actually seen how to get rid of the president.
Yes. How you could easily remove the president.
Exactly. So how exactly do you do such a thing?
And that's the only way the House can regain its name
Yes.
and independence. Remove the president. Impeach him as a House. You can.
Yes, they can.
But we're talking about a house that has ceded its
No, not only
independence.
ceded, they actually like being held captive, because if they were resisting, if this slavery which we speak of was something that they found abhorrent, then they would be behaving differently. They'd be saying, no. There's certain things, and you'd see it, but we don't see it. They like the situation they are in, which means that whoever's holding them captive has understood how it is to keep them happy.
Yeah.
That is it. They are kept happy, and that's why we are there to tell Kenyans this is only for a while. In the next election, get into.
Senator, do you know what Kenyans are enduring out here? You must know, because you are a senator of a county.
And I go to my county every weekend.
You wouldn't have been elected otherwise. You are a member of parliament. For you to have risen, the people clearly like you. That is why, and you chose to stand on the right party. Well, you did actually, yes, because if you stood on a different party, you probably wouldn't have been elected. But the point I'm making is, it can't be that every time there is a problem, we are told that we must wait for an election to take place.
No. A solution can be found now.
This problem is not a problem. Many of these problems are problems that cannot actually wait.
Yes.
They can't wait.
Yes.
And that's why we are telling Kenyans that wake up. One of the ways Kenyans fail, if you don't vote, then you are bringing in the wrong leader. If you don't vote, if you don't, you see, as Kibaki would ask, wewe umesaidiwa, utasaidia na nini? How a citizen helps his country is to make sure that you are, if you are 18, you acquire an identity card, and then you go on and register as a voter, and then show up on the voting day. 8 million Kenyans did not go to vote.
Yes, and that was a protest. It is
It was a
clear
protest,
they are
yeah.
saying no, but Senator, look, all that you say is actually true. But how is it that this particular parliament, National Assembly, Senate, you have the most educated people those houses has ever had in the country?
That is true.
Yes.
Most knowledgeable. Some have been in the political system for a long time. Why is it that you can't see the very person who holds you captive, if he was held to account, the opposite of what is happening is what would happen? Meaning, he would actually serve if somebody has the power and the means to hold both lower and upper houses captive, that person has the power to change the country. Because look at all that energy being put into controlling these two bodies, essentially controlling the country.
Yeah.
What if it was put into actually
Positive.
Yes.
And even as we approach the 2027, I mean, Kenyans right now, with all this information, knowing very well that this is the most educated parliament that we have, that the person who holds the greatest responsibility can control all these powers. And the MPs and rather members of parliament have ceded their power. Why would any Kenyan out there sit down and listen to what leaders have to say right now?
That's why we're in the current situation. We are at the verge of a revolution. Actually, revolution almost happened in this country. Parliament was overrun by the people because the people were unhappy with Parliament. I was there. When the young people came in, they didn't care whose car it is, whether you're in position or in government. They smashed all the glasses. They destroyed everything they could destroy. They were killed. And they said, sign the finance bill on Wednesday.
And see.
We will be with you on Thursday. So if the president is overrun, what does he do? If he realizes, and for a long time he hit his head in the sand, you say, oh, these are some criminals, treasonable, who came to the house. Kenyans are annoyed with the house. That's why they came there. It has never happened since independence. And if the house continues the way it is continuing, I see them coming back. And this time around, they will not spare it at all.
You know, you people are doing the president and the presidency a disservice. The public is holding you to account. You are not holding the president to account. If the president was held to account, as I said, a man with these abilities can do wonderful things for the country.
That I know. And all he needs then, you need as many members as possible now to come together and probably do an impeachment motion and mean it. I'm telling you, by the time we are midway, have impeachment motion, then the ideal situation as required by the Constitution will apply. The Constitution expects the House, and the people of Kenya expect the House to hold the president accountable. That is not happening. And the danger of that is a revolution. The danger of that is the president be overrun. Now, if the president is overrun by the people and is chased away from the country, then it means you are going to have even a worse situation. Probably you are not going to have civilian load for some time. And actually that's the reason Raila Odinga gave to go and support the president. The problem is if both of them are now overrun by the people. That's the danger we are going through right now. And I want to admit the failure is the House. If the House held the president accountable, and if the president knew the House has enough numbers to impeach him,
he would not do what he's doing.
He will not do what he's doing.
Now, you say that Raila Odinga formed a coalition, rather ran to the president. But someone as well would say that you've run to the deputy president who equally, former deputy president who equally Kenyans were angry with. How would you respond?
Well, what happened to Rigathi Gachagua is that he was unable to bear with certain things the government was doing.
Really?
And he spoke about it.
Really?
What he called him, he said he was a truthful man. And the moment he said...
And we are supposed to believe things that politicians say?
Manzo, would you be speaking like this of Rigathi Gachagua in 2022, 2023?
Unfortunately, what happened is that he would not have been impeached if ODM did not join forces with the government.
So now the problem is
the good numbers. No. We are not saying ODM gave a justification. ODM gave a justification. And they politically, they knew very well what they were doing. They were actually unpacking the presidency. And at the same time, they thought it is important to stabilize the country. And that was thought, the problem was thought to be the deputy president. He was blamed for everything.
In all honesty, surely, how could the deputy president be the problem? And yet, 25th June, the problems that were being spoken of were clear. Cost of living. There's nothing complicated. We are saying the deputy president was responsible for the problems that were related to the cost of living. Deputy president.
In fact, he said, the allegation was, and it was very serious, that the deputy president is the one who organized Gen Zs or paid for them. And I said, he would never do this.
No, but where's the evidence? I mean, even I find that one spurious. I mean, come on, for heaven's sake.
You have to provide the evidence. There is no evidence.
Yes.
That was one of the accusations.
Yes, it is, but those accusations, it appeared they were just outlined so that they could be spoken of and no evidence sought.
But now that is done, and the most unlikely is that the courts are not likely to help him in this regime because he has filed appeals, and the appeals can clear him. But it's most unlikely he's going to be clear. That is in the past. Now we want to deal with the future without the deputy president.
Actually, Senator, it's not in the past. You know why? You're a lawyer, are you not?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Okay. This president is alive. It's a reference point into the future. So it's not dead.
Yes, it is.
Okay? So the discussion around it is as relevant as the process of impeachment. Because when it is determined that somebody must be gotten out, the speed with which it was done, with military precision, it tells you that when the government seeks to do something, they can do it. Which means the problems that were raised by the Gen Zs and which were a clear representation of problems that we have in this country, they can be resolved and they can be solved. That's the point I'm trying to make.
I agree with you, absolutely.
And as well, Manzo, as we just have this discussion, you clearly sit from a vantage point of saying that you are one of the different members out there who look at things different and you want things to be done right. What stops you from coming up with a petition to impeach the president?
Well, that can be done, and that is in the is one of the options available.
Why haven't you taken it?
You know, the house is opening in February. So you just wait and see. The house. And there's a very important date. There is a very important date in the history of Kenya.
Yes.
And that's the 25th of February.
Of February, yes.
What happened, how we wake up on 26th will determine a lot of things in this
The party leader has been breathing hot. And very hot.
Yes.
And I like the way he's been speaking.
Yes.
But you know, my friend,
Yes.
I want to inject a little positivity into all this.
Yes.
Every time people speak, they blame the president, and they have reasons for doing so.
Yes.
Every time we speak and blame the parliament, we blame parliament, rather, we have reasons for blaming parliament.
Yes.
But if we just pause with the blame and say, is it impossible that those who have the power, and you are among those people, to bring about changes, cannot see that this simple matter of ensuring that our president understands that he is accountable and that he is held to account, and that by doing so, the nation will actually benefit? This simple logic, how does it escape all these educated people in parliament? Because you're now giving education in the process a bad name.
It is the misuse of sovereign power. The sovereign power of the country belongs to the people. And that's why they overrun parliament. The only thing they are left with now, which if they want to do, they can do, is to overrun the big house. Unfortunately, that's very disastrous. And that's why there are elections in every 5 years, so that the people can overrun the house once more. You can remove actually all members of parliament. And I will not be surprised to find out with the uprising of Gen Z and their organizations, although they were denied an opportunity to form a political party, I encourage them to join political parties, because power is captured through political parties and the changes are made through political parties. If in an election, it is a lawful way of removing a president if you are not happy with him.
Senator, political parties in this country are personal properties of the people who head them, and the small cabal of friends and associates and so forth. Gen Zs don't join these political parties. They don't. I am saying it. Don't. Even if they have a youth forum, don't. Because the truth of the matter is, you will end up being under someone's thumb, and the very thing you set out to do, you will not do. If political parties really embrace the thinking of the Gen Zs, they would function differently. They'd be more accommodating. You can't be accommodating when you already are in a position where it's a catch-22 for you.
Yes.
You've understood that there is a power in this group of people, so now the conversation becomes them. No.
I am foreseeing a situation whereby political parties misconduct themselves or continue to misconduct themselves, as they have done. Then there will be a lot of independent members of parliament elected. That will mean the president now can no longer control them.
No. Independence doesn't mean you can't be controlled. In fact, in this country, it means you can be controlled even easier. Because you don't have a party to whip you into shape.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you are whipped.
You are much, much easier to control. Infinitely easier to control.
So, Senator,
yes,
2027, are you forming a coalition with the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua?
Well, you see, that is left in the open. You can form coalition with anyone in the country. But right now, you see, first of all, for you to be able to form a coalition, Deputy President Gachagua, second Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, must then first of all form a political party.
You could also invite him.
He must. No. He must then. I just want talking to the way politics work. Yes. He alone means nothing.
True.
He must.
There has to be a vehicle. Yes.
He must have a political party. He must form a political party. I know it will have his own challenges. Whether as a person who has been been impeached, whether you can lead a political party. I'm sure that issue will be debated because you see, a political party is also funded by the state, and the problem in this country, when you are impeached, you are supposed to be killed permanently, politically. Forever. For as long as you live, you will never hold a public position. And that's why the courts, and that's why his matter is still in the court. And I hope the courts will do justice in his matter. Therefore, at some point, he must head a political party. He must, the members of parliament he has, he has been impeached from his party and has well been impeached as deputy president. So they are still members of his party, of the party which impeached him. And therefore, if they come up with a political party, then there will be a vehicle which can form coalitions with other political parties, and they can have a presidential candidate, and they can remove the current president. Otherwise, as things are in the country, the current president is very unpopular. And I doubt whether he's going to recover with these abductions and killings and extrajudicial activities. It doesn't add in votes. He loses. I can assure you, Baba Mwangi voted for Ruto. But now, he won't vote for him. He took his son away and almost lost his life and gave him sleepless nights. Why will you vote for somebody who gave you sleepless nights? And not only him, the whole of that neighborhood is very annoyed with the president. And because the one is the utmost responsibility. So these careless mistakes and the misuse of Kenyans and the sovereign power which have been donated to the people is going to cost the current
donated to the elected leaders.
Yes, and even elected leaders. The same power, the power belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to me. And that's why it is exercised again every 5 years to donate it. And also can be exercised directly, as they did when they came to parliament. And they can also exercise it directly and go and tell the boss himself, we have taken away our power, get lost now. It happens.
And that is a good place to end the conversation today, the road towards 2027. We will invite you in February to see February 25th, right?
Yes.
To continue with that
definitely
conversation.
Invite the senator.
Senator.
Yes.
It is 9 a.m. Good morning.